Cliff Avril joining us right now on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. Hey, Cliff, how's it going?
All is well, all is well. How are you guys doing?
We're great. Thank you. We're happy to have you join us. We have so many questions when it comes to, what goes on with the defense and adjustments and all that stuff. But I'm just going to start with this. Your initial impressions from the Seahawks, pretty horrible, no good, very bad, week 1 loss to the Rams.
Yeah, I think so just being I guess I'm becoming the old guy now, right? Where you're like back in my days, type of thing.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness though, I think it's preseason. Like I think what we've seen yesterday, and honestly from a lot of defenses around the league, but for the most part at least, preseason, guys not getting that many reps. The first time you're actually getting live contact and bringing guys down to the field, to the ground, and real tackles and different things like that is week 1 for a lot of these guys. At most maybe they have 20 reps. In preseason, to be honest with you, veterans are just trying not to get hurt. So I think that's what we've seen in particular for the defense. And it's unfortunate, but that's just what the NFL is. I was telling some of the guys while I was sitting in the stadium watching the game, is like, this is going to take about 3 to 4 weeks before we actually see how legit teams really are. So I think they'll speed it up. I think they'll speed the process up. But that's what I thought of. The first thing I thought of was preseason.
Hey, Cliff, thanks for joining us, man. We understand that there is a rotation on that D-line, right? You got 4, 5, 6 guys in rotation, mixing them up, keeping them fresh. I look at the back end, and I'm like, all right, do we need to have a steady rotation on that back end? What are your thoughts when it comes to the number of DBs that were used in yesterday's game?
Well, you usually don't see that, right? Up front, yes. The guys are bigger, we're faster, and all. We get a little bloated, a little quicker, need a breath. That's more normal. But when it comes down to your linebackers, when it comes down to your DBs, your secondary, typically you have the same core group of guys, and then if you change personnel to nickel, then you bring one more guy in, and a defensive lineman actually leaves, right? Or something like that, or a linebacker might leave or something like that. But to have a rotation per series or something like that, that's kind of that's not the norm. But I also think that just means they're trying to figure out, who's going to be that main guy, who's going to be the guy that you can depend on a little bit. Again, I'm going back to preseason. You didn't get to see these guys getting live reps, right? So now you look good at practice, but when things get to really moving fast and game speed and all these other things, how are you going to react? And I think that's kind of where they're at right now, just getting a feel for who they can depend on when it comes down to game days.
Cliff, unsurprisingly, after a bad loss, people are always going to point to the head coach or the quarterback or just like a big name to point to and go, this is your fault. And so I was seeing plenty of, this is Pete Carroll's defenses. They're always awful, which, of course, we know isn't true.
We're not always awful.
No,
Awful,
of course we, guys, wait, everyone hit pause. I seem to remember a record-setting defense. But I thought that you would be the perfect person to ask this question. Can you explain to us in just like the most simple ways what a Pete Carroll defense is, like what it values, what it tries to be?
Oh, man. I think the biggest thing is Coach Carroll used to tell us not to make things up. And as athletes, we want to make every single play, right? We want to, we're the ultimate competitors. And the one thing that I learned from Coach Carroll is don't make things up, meaning if the play is not meant for you to make it, it's okay for you to just sit in your gap and allow your other guys to make it. And that's what allowed us to be so great is we're going to take the chances where it's our play to be made, and we're going to make those, and then, you move on to the next play. So I think that's Coach Carroll's philosophy is just not making things up and just playing fast, but you don't have to make things up. Play within the scheme. You'll make the plays you need to make. And when you realize that you're a chain link, and everybody needs to do what they needs to do their part for other people to have success, but more so than anything, the defense to have success. I think that's when you start to have great defenses. And when you're young, that's just something that has to be learned over time.
Do you feel the defense could be more aggressive or creative when it comes to getting after the quarterback? I look at the game plan yesterday and I go, I feel what you're saying where it's like they're trying to figure out who can do what. But when you're getting attacked the way that they were yesterday, how do you do that? Do you apply more pressure? Do you just go back to your fundamentals? Like, how would you attack that?
Well, as a D lineman, the worst thing you can do is start pressuring. Like, it was a slight on me if the coach felt like he had to bring another person into the pass rush, right? And I think that's exactly what the guys are going to have to figure out is like, hey, do we want coach to start blitzing or are we going to get after these quarterbacks or not, right? And I think for the first week, like just seeing what guys have. Now, okay, we done took a couple punches to the face. How do you react to that? Are guys going to stand up and say, hey, this is my role on this defense? You know, one of the guys I thought that played really well, and I didn't even look at his stats or anything like that, was Jay Reed up front, right? Like, he's going to, and I was texting with him last night, matter of fact, and just telling him, like, hey, bro, like, you're going to have to lead the charge. You're going to have to show these guys what a great defense looks like up front, right? Because what you're going to do come 3 or 4 weeks from now, if you don't fix this, is going to start complaining about how much they're blitzing. You know what I'm saying? So it's a give-take type of situation. I do think they have the guys up front to be able to get pressure on quarterbacks. I do think they have the guys to be able to get hits and hurries and sacks and everything like that. It's just all about implementing and putting them in the right position to do so. And it takes time. It takes time. I know fans are jumping down these guys' throats. It's only week 1, guys. They have 16 more games to go, right? They mess around and go 16-1. We forget about this one loss, right? So there's a lot of football to be played, and I don't think anybody should be pointing fingers and anything like that just yet. I think this team is pretty solid. They have the caliber of players to make a run. We just got to be patient with them.
Couldn't agree with you more, Cliff. One more before we get you out of here, man. We appreciate your time. What is Tell the Truth Monday like after a loss like this? Usually when I walk in there, the music is blasting. Is the music still blasting? Does something change? What's it like on a Tell the Truth Monday?
You know what? Most coaches on a Monday after a beating like this, because that's what it was, right? Most coaches come in and they're cussing everybody clean out. Like, hey, you need to do better. You need to do this. Coach Carroll's not like that. One thing that I can appreciate from him is he is extremely consistent in his message and how he approaches the game. You're going to tell the truth. We're going to talk about all the plays that you messed up on. We're going to talk about where we need to correct, what we need to correct, who messed up on what, but it's still going to be a lively type of situation. You're still going to walk in, music's going to be playing. You're still going to walk in and you're going to have your highlights. Even after a loss like this, there's going to be highlights of all the good stuff that you did as well, right? So it's a fine balance between, keeping things consistent, but making sure you understand, hey, y'all need to pick this thing up. You know what I mean? Like, we got a lot of corrections to be made as well.
Those corrections are going to have to be made, at least being started to in week 2 against Detroit. He is Cliff Avril. Cliff, thanks so much for taking the time, man. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Cliff.
Always a pleasure. Thank you, guys.